Hello and welcome to another episode of the Thoughtfully Made Fiber Vlogcast. Today we will be diving in with a very exciting new acquisition of mine, the Daedalus Sparrow wheel. If you have been thinking about purchasing an electric wheel or want to know more about how an electric wheel impacts the spinning experience, please watch on. My name is Amy Scher, and you are watching the Thoughtfully Made Fiber Vlogcast. It is mid-November here in St. Louis, Missouri, and we are deep into the cold season now and kind of approaching that like knit and spin all the things season, which is why it's so exciting that I was able to get my hands on the Daedalus Sparrow, which I have been looking at and thinking about purchasing for quite a while now. So in case you didn't know, I am a knitting teacher, knitting designer, and spinner and weaver and sewist, just kind of a multi-craftual fiber artist living here in St. Louis, Missouri. So on this vlog, I often share all the things that I'm working on and my thoughts on the crafting process. I am very much a process crafter, so it was very interesting for me to get into the electric wheel world, which is new to me. The Daedalus Sparrow is my very first electric wheel. So let's dive right into my review and my thoughts about it. I will be breaking this video up into several portions, from purchasing experience to assembly to spinning experience to accessories that I think are necessary, like absolutely necessary, to make the wheel function as intended. So without further ado, let's dive right in. I will be including links and details to everything I talk about in the description box below, and there will also be timestamps so that you can jump around to different sections of this review as needed if you need to come back to it when you're making a decision on purchasing. I hope this video is helpful to you, and if you enjoy this kind of thing, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to help me out. So let's get right into the details of the Daedalus Spinning Wheel Sparrow. If you're unfamiliar with the Daedalus spinning wheel line, they are 3D printed spinning wheels manufactured by two people named Dave and Rebecca, who 3D print using really sturdy materials and fine-tune and quality check every single wheel before it goes out the door. So one of the reasons I chose Daedalus over some of the other 3D printed wheels on the market is just because I've heard some things that are rather unpleasant about the quality control and the motor longevity of some of the lower end wheels on the market. So because I started my spinning experience using a $50 wheel, an Ashford Traditional, I'm not typically fussy, but after spinning with the Ashford Traditional for a while, I realized that I had certain needs. I don't like having to fiddle and adjust a lot. I want something that just works without a lot of work. Once I set it up, I want it to just work, like just be there and not require further adjustments. Now, I've owned a Kromsky Symphony for about 2 years now, and it is fiddly. There is some fiddling involved because it is wooden parts. Wooden parts will shift and move and require readjustment and oiling over time. The Daedalus wheels, the entire line does not require that kind of fiddling. So that's one of the big reasons I chose Daedalus for my first electric wheel. And after spinning with it for a while and setting it up, I can say that I'm happy with this choice. So let's get a little bit into why. So let's jump right into it with the purchasing experience of the Daedalus Sparrow, which I will just be upfront, it's really awful. The worst thing about Daedalus wheels is their limited capacity to produce a lot of wheels and how difficult it is to get your hands on one. That said, they're a quality product and the purchasing process is quite smooth. So the Sparrow is produced on an update basis, and they drop it every 6 to 8 weeks, more if they have shows that they're vending. I have been trying to get on one of these updates for a really long time. The last update they had in the summer, I hesitated and then it sold out. I decided to come back later in the day and check it out again. And by the time I came back, it was completely sold out and I had regrets. I also put myself on the wait list for a different wheel in their lineup, the Starling, which is kind of like the next size up. It's less than double the weight of this one, and it holds more than double the bobbin capacity. So that was kind of the other option that I had going on. I put myself on the wait list all the way back in the first quarter of the year, January, maybe February. And I did not receive a call, the email to tell me that the wheel is ready for purchase this whole time. I recently got the email from them yesterday as I was preparing for this video that the Starling is ready for purchase, but unfortunately I already purchased the Sparrow, and I think if I had known that the Starling would become available to me yesterday, I don't think I would have bought the Sparrow. So my advice when it comes to the purchasing process is to decide early what you want and really just go for that one. Now, I was kind of between the Sparrow and the Starling with a lean towards the Starling. I slightly prefer the Starling, so I ended up with the Sparrow, which is fine. I'm very happy with my purchase. And how I ended up getting the Sparrow was not through one of the regular shop updates. My friend and assistant Symphony, who you may have interacted with if you purchase patterns from me, she manages a lot of my content and all of my marketing. She went to Rhinebeck Sheep and Wool Festival and purchased this wheel for me. I was in the middle of a ballet class, I was off work that day. I was just out living my life, having a ballet class, when Symphony was like, I'm at the booth, the Daedalus booth. Which color do you want? And actually, Roy chose the color I ended up with, the teal color. I didn't have a strong color preference, so whatever, it's fine. I'm happy with what I got, but it was chaotic. I highly recommend purchasing Daedalus from a show that they vend, if possible, so that you can see the entire lineup, so that you can take your time deciding, so that it's not like you have to make a decision immediately and you don't, you have to be very trigger happy online to make sure you get one. So go into these shows that they vend, kind of having an idea of the specs, understanding what you want, and then when you get there, you can confirm what you want by looking at all the wheels, possibly trying them out, and then make a purchase immediately without much trouble. So that would be my biggest recommendation, is to purchase their wheels in person if possible. They do a few shows, fiber shows, throughout the United States, throughout the year. So if you're not in the United States, you will have to make a decision online, in which case I recommend you select one of the wheels that has a wait list, because it's a much easier process than trying to get in on one of those Sparrow updates. Now, it's very easy to miss a Sparrow update in your emails when they send out the newsletter announcing it. So just save yourself the trouble and get on the wait list. So once I got the wheel, my friend Symphony packaged it for me with bubble wrap and reusing packaging from other shipments. And I reached out to the Daedalus Discord group for advice on mailing it, and they actually recommended that I email support, and Evanita at their support team, customer support team, was enormously helpful, gave me direct instructions. We ended up packing it, asking UPS to package it, and the biggest tip they have for me on packaging and shipping the Sparrow is to wrap the flyer in bubble wrap separately from the body and get UPS to do it. All in all, it cost about $20 for UPS to pack it for me and about $30 to ship, and it took $50 to ship it to me, which is a cost, but it's a cost I'm used to, because if you've ever tried to buy a spinning wheel at all, you know that buying a used wheel, shipping is the worst part of it. So that's kind of an expected cost for me. So I just want you to know that if you don't buy it online and you ask a friend to buy it at a fiber festival, that is a cost you have to take into consideration. This being my job, and experimenting with fibers being a big part of my job, it was worth it to me, but it may or may not be worth it to you with that additional cost. So just keep that in mind. So with all of that said, the Sparrow arrived to me well and safe, and I dove right into the assembly. So let's get right into the assembly for this wheel. The wheel arrived safe and sound and had clearly marked and separately packaged parts. It comes with 3 bobbins with an aluminum brake drum. It comes with the orifice hook. It comes with a spares kit, which they also sell online. So if you need spares of any of these parts, it's very easy to get online. But it has a magnetic rear bearing, which is very easy to use and makes changing the bobbins quite quick and simple. It has a rubber grommet. It has the rat tail tension cord, a spring, just all of these things that make the assembly very smooth and easy. I especially like the way that the back tensioning, the bobbin tensioning, hooks and unhooks very easily, and it's easy to adjust. There's quite a nice attention to detail. The orifice hook that it comes with is fine. I wouldn't write home about it. It attaches to the front of the wheel with a magnetic bit, which can be a little bit difficult to finagle. Like if I'm spinning and I've got my yarn through and I need to put down my hook, sometimes it snaps on easily. Sometimes I have to like move it around a bit. And this is fine. Every wheel deals with the orifice hooks differently. Like my Ashford Traditional didn't even have a spot for the orifice hook, and having a little hole in my Kromsky Symphony for the orifice hook was like life-changing and amazing. So they've already done most. This is pretty standard. I'm happy with that. So assembly was very easy. It took me about 5 minutes to put the flyer, the bobbin, all the little tensioning bits together. It comes with a printed manual that makes it really clear with a clear illustration inside the manual on where each part goes. So if you've never approached a spinning wheel before, I highly recommend it. It's very easy to put together, very low lift, not very high effort to get started at all. Now, the part that I got into trouble with is that we purchased a short, I think the product comes with like a short motor cable that plugs into the speed controller. And it is literally like 1.5 feet long, like 18 inches long, and it's nowhere near long enough. And the power cable that goes into the speed controller, which is a necessary add-on, like you have to have a speed controller to operate this machine. So, but you only need one. The speed controller is compatible across all the wheels, and that's why it's sold separately, because you only need to buy it once. It's not included in the price of the wheel, so you will need the speed controller. And together, the speed controller and the wheel cost $625 as of 2023. And yeah, so it comes with a very short cable. This power supply that goes to the speed controller is nowhere near long enough. So we had to dig out a power extension cable. So I would say that having, at minimum, a power extension cable is a 100,000% must. You must have an extension cable to operate this thing. Otherwise, you'll be sitting like right up near your power outlet. You absolutely need the outlet to be within a couple feet of the situation altogether. So moving on from that, I set my wheel down on an IKEA Raskog, which I will be showing in some inserted footage here. You can see that it's on the very top level. I've seen some people spin on the bottom level, and for some reason that didn't really work for me. That felt too low for me. So I like to spin on the higher level of the IKEA Raskog, which is an accessory that I highly recommend purchasing. It just makes carting around the speed controller and the wheel itself and the fibers that I'm using very easily. And when I am done spinning, I can just wind up all the cables and stash them in the cart. And my lazy Kate also lives on the middle layer of this cart. I will give a slight warning The Kromsky Symphony Lazy Kit is not good for this particular wheel. The bobbins are a little bit bigger than Kromsky bobbins, and they're gonna bump up against each other when you ply from them. So what I plan to do, because I have two Kromsky Lazy Kates, I will just be using two whenever I need more than two spots in my Lazy Kate, and to just separate, use like the furthest ones from each other to make sure that they don't bump up, the bobbins don't bump up against each other while I'm plying. So you will need a Lazy Kate. You will need somewhere to put it. You can put it, you can spin on a tabletop, you can spin on a chair, whatever, somewhere to put it. I chose an IKEA Raskog because I had one in my room that I wasn't really using, so I cleaned it out. The Raskog is pretty popular amongst Daedalus spinners. I've seen quite a few people use the Raskog for not only the Daedalus, but other electric wheels as well. So that's probably the biggest tip I have for you in this video, is using like a little rolling kitchen cart can be very helpful. All right, let's see. The other accessory that I think is a must-have is the motor extension cable. Reaching over to start and stop the speed controller is a little bit finicky. And it does take like a second, 2 seconds for the wheel to start or stop, which I would like more control over those seconds. So the motor extension cable would allow the speed controller to be on the floor, and then you can use it as like a foot pedal start and stop. So the reason I purchased like an electric spinning wheel, even though I already have a wheel, is because that I often have chronic pain flare-ups that make it very difficult for me to treadle. And I'm happy to say that the Daedalus Sparrow solves all of those problems for me. It's very easy and ergonomic to operate, and I don't need to use my feet. I do miss treadling. I think treadling spinning is still my number one. I miss the rhythmic vibes of and meditative feeling of spinning on a treadle wheel. I miss being able to slow down and fix a thick and thin spot and smooth it out with just my feet. On an electric wheel, it's either like go or not, and changing the speed isn't really that helpful because you're like pushing the speed up, or down. It's not as intuitive and natural as it is on a treadle wheel. So having the treadle be an extension of me is truly like one of the things about treadle spinning that is the greatest, and I miss it. So that said, if you're into electric wheels, this is probably one of the best ones on the market. It's very smooth and very quiet and very accessible, and all of the trouble I went through to purchase and set it up was very worth it. Once I set it up, I just sit down, turn on my power extension cable on switch, turn on the speed controller, and we're off. The Daedalus wheels are, I don't know how they do it, but it says that you never need to oil it. And I'm like, a few spins into this thing, and I can tell you that it spins just as well now as it did when I opened the box. So I guess it's true that you don't need to oil it, because typically on a wood treadled wheel, I'd have oiled like 4 or 5 times by now. So that is a very nice feature of this wheel. I'm quite happy with the spinning experience. The bobbin has these wonderful sliding hooks, which I'm not quite used to. It's actually like a D-ring rather than a hook, and I'm actually not used to having to use like the orifice hook to hook it through. But once it's through, the sliding ring makes it very easy to pack the bobbin evenly, and you can get tons of yarn on there. So I've made the neatest bobbins of my life while spinning this wheel. I'm not typically like a very neat bobbin packer, but on this wheel, I achieved some extremely neat bobbin packing. I'm gonna go ahead and share with you the first spin that I made on this thing, just so you can see how it looks. So because chronic pain is a factor in my crafting, I'm happy to say that the lack of traveling fatigue on this wheel has enabled me to spin more than I ever have before in a short span of time. I completed my first project on it, the Sport to DK weight worsted spun skein from a comb top by Nest Fiber, completed very quickly. It is a standard 2-ply. I set out to spin my usual short backwards draw spin, just testing it against how I normally spin, basically, just for a standard experience. This one is in the colorway Winterberry by Nest Fiber. It's from a club a couple years back, and this one will be a gift to Symphony as in thanks for purchasing and shipping the wheel for me. So this was such a fun and joyful experience, just so easy to do my standard draw. And then my next project I will show you in a little insert video. It is I'm testing it on a bat, little batlets from Inglenook Fibers, which have been carded and not combed for a true long draw experience to test out the long draw capability of this wheel. I would say that this wheel performs equally well in each. It's very easy to make the tension adjustments you need. It's capable of Scotch and Irish tension. I've literally never used Irish tension in my entire life. So it remains to be seen how that works. I'll have to test it out, but I'm very happy with the Scotch tensioning and fine tuning that I'm able to get out of it. I wasn't quite used to the way the little tensioning pegs kind of can spin around on the little things that they're on. But it kind of reminds me of tuning my cello when I was a kid. There's the big pegs that you can do these huge turns on, but then there's also the little fine tuner. So I find that to be very intuitive to me, at least, maybe in part due to the fact that I'm a musician, but that was very easy. The other thing that happened during these 2 spins is that I often come to my IKEA Raskog cart to spin, and then I'm taking off my indoor slippers because I like to spin barefoot with the traveling wheel, and then I'm oh yeah, I don't need my feet, and that's something that I'm still getting used to. But without further ado, please enjoy a couple minutes of my spinning on the Daedalus Sparrow, and then I will be back to talk to you more about my conclusions about this wheel, the pros and cons, just a hard, cruel, plain look at exactly how I feel about every aspect of this wheel. So without further ado, please enjoy a couple minutes of me spinning on this wheel using a carded bat prepared by Inglenook Fibers. And then after that, I will be back to talk to you about my full pros and cons list for the Daedalus Sparrow. Please enjoy. I do miss the ASMR aspect of trottling. This is just smooth and monotonous. So when I'm spinning on the Daedalus, I definitely prefer to have a TV show on nearby because I can't lose myself in the way that I can with the wheel, but that's not this wheel's fault. It's an electric wheel and I need that on the end. So adjusting where the sliding hook is very easy. You just slide it along Very quick, very easy. It's very easy to pack a very neat bobbin. And spin a little more. So I do hope that you enjoyed that little bit of spinning footage. Next, I'll go ahead and tell you all the pros, all the cons, all the things I liked and didn't like about the Daedalus Sparrow. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to put them in the comments and I'll try my best to answer, even though I am not an expert in Daedalus wheels at all. If you like this video and you want to see more videos like it, please don't forget to subscribe and like this. That really helps me out. So without further ado, let's go on to the pros and cons list. So I'm going to start with the cons because there's very few of them and end on a good note, because overall, I'm very happy with this purchase and I'm glad I purchased the Daedalus Sparrow. I think I'll be spinning with it for a long time. So here's some things I wish they would fix. It is so hard to get one. I know this is mostly due to circumstances outside of their control, but I wish it were easier to get your hands on one. I wish that the extension cable, the motor extension cable, came standard with this wheel. I do plan to purchase one. It is $25 for the 6-foot one, which I think is a perfectly acceptable price. I just wish I had known that I would want one, that setting up would be difficult without one, and I wish I had gotten one to begin with. And in my opinion, that should be standard with this wheel. The bobbins are not always in stock, and similar to getting the wheel, it can be a little bit difficult to find out when the bobbins have been restocked. When I first finished my first project that's 2-ply and required 3 bobbins, I realized that a sock spin would be difficult, if not impossible, to complete with just the 3 bobbins. So I went on their website to look for bobbins last week and they were not in stock. This week they are. So it requires a little bit of checking often to get what you want, basically. I definitely recommend purchasing the extra bobbins if you have the finances for it at first. The bobbins are a little bit pricey, but they're extremely smooth and stable with the little aluminum casing in the middle. I think that is the reason for the price. They are $30, I think, like $90 for 3. So they are pricey, but I think they're worth it. The bobbins are a little bit on the higher end pricing wise for bobbins. So just watch out for that. That's like an additional cost if you are a heavy user of bobbins like I am. And now on to the pros. This wheel is extremely smooth, extremely quiet, and extremely easy to use. I've heard reviews of other lighter weight wheels that will like walk on the counter when you're using it because they're not stable enough. That does not happen here. If you have it level, it's going to perform perfectly for you. It is very easy to adjust the tension. I demonstrated that a little bit earlier in the video and I'm very happy with it. It's very easy to do it on the go without having to stop the wheel at all while I'm drawing with my left hand still. With a little practice. The sliding hooks do make it very easier to pack the yarn. Even though the bobbin is not that much bigger than my Kromsky one, I can fit so much more yarn onto there due to the way the tensioning, like a combination between the tensioning being super flexible and intuitive and the packing the bobbins being super easy. The included diagrams are excellent and they have excellent customer support and a vibrant Discord community where you can get lots of inspiration from other Daedalus spinners and advice if you run into any trouble. Some of the teachers associated with testing and working on these wheels and providing education and support on these wheels, James Perry and Evanita, are excellent resources and can help you through pretty much anything. Before purchasing the wheel, I read quite a few articles from both of them in Ply Magazine, just about spinning generally, and reviews from them on their Instagrams, which I will link below, and their thoughts on this wheel. And it was enormously helpful in helping me decide on this wheel over some of the other wheels, like electric wheels on the market today. Compared to the other 3D spinning wheels on the market, this one I would say is mid-price. It is more affordable than some of the ones made by companies like Hanson and Ashford, some of those big names, old companies, but it is more expensive than some other 3D printed brands on the market. And I find it to be a good value between the price, which is high, $650 or whatever I said earlier, like that's not an amount to scoff at. But I do find that compared to a treadle wheel, compared to the lighter weight spinning wheels, electric wheels on the market, and compared to the more expensive electric wheels on the market, this really strikes the perfect like value to function to aesthetic, like road in the middle. I think it's a very good value for the price point that it's at, and it's a great mid-priced option for you to consider. And that's it from me today. I really hope that you enjoyed this video and that it was helpful for you in some way. And if you like it, please don't forget to come back next time. And I look forward to talking to you again soon. Thank you for watching.